to the Parc des Princes, where Razor has been watching the game as well. And that Razor was agonising, bearing in mind the way that they defended throughout that second half. You can't deny that Paris Saint-Germain, I guess, deserved an equaliser, but you could also say that Newcastle very much deserved to hold out. So heroic was their defending. No substitutes were used. It was the same 11 who started the game. You can see from the TV pictures, they were absolutely out on their feet by the end, and that was gut-wrenching, wasn't it?
Well, if Paris Saint-Germain don't take their chances from open play, then they need a bit of help, and they got it there. And I'm completely mystified by that decision, because the ball has hit Livramento on the chest and then gone onto his elbow. That would not be given in the Premier League if it hits one body part and then onto the arm. We've seen that type of situation before. You can see why Newcastle was so angry, why the players went to the referee and were pointing, several players pointing to the chest. I just feel that the pressure from Paris Saint-Germain and from the crowd maybe just told, and it was too much for the referee. They perhaps had a shout for a penalty earlier in the half. I'm not sure what Ando thinks when, was it Gordon made a challenge on Hakimi possibly?
Yeah.
That could have been. I only saw it back once, so I'm not sure, but I think Newcastle are very unfortunate with that, and it could just be a difference in the interpretation of the handball law between UEFA and what we're more used to in the Premier League. It is heartbreaking for them. They've done so well. They are trudging off now like they've lost, and look, they could well have lost because Paris Saint-Germain just had them boxed in for the majority of that second half, and Nick Pope with one incredible save, blocks, deflections, tackles, everything. An incredible physical effort from all the players. As you say, Pridey, the 11 that started were the 11 that finished. They've got a very useful point that most people would have been happy with beforehand, but the manner of this draw, 8 minutes of additional time, which felt a bit generous, and they needed most of it to get the ball in the back of the net, Paris Saint-Germain. It will hurt and it will sting, but it keeps them alive in the Champions League and in European football.
I think, Ando, it's probably unfair to criticise the referee too much in that he didn't give the first two, and then when he's called across to the screen, he is then under immense pressure to give something, isn't he? Not just because of the crowd, but because he's been called over, so obviously somebody else sitting in a video room thinks that it is a penalty, and they are almost always given. But I mean, yeah, it did seem to me that that was actually the weakest of the weakest shot of the three.
I thought the Gordon one was more of a penalty, if I'm perfectly honest. Saying that, I thought the referee, up to giving the penalty, was absolutely excellent tonight. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he let things go. He made the right decision, made the right calls. You know, I thought he had a big game, the referee. But
that said, do you think it was the wrong decision for that penalty that was given? I mean, it was harsh, wearing him out, it bounced off him and then
bounced off his chest and hit his hand, yeah. But
nothing you can do about it, not deliberate anyway.
It always amazes me, you know, it bounces off. What's he supposed to do? It isn't as if he's brought his hand anywhere near the ball. His hand just happens to be there and bounces off and hits his hand. But as I say, up to that point, I thought the referee was excellent. I thought we were excellent. I suppose the one criticism you would have is that Razor mentioned the fact that we were boxed in all the time. And when we did get out, we didn't keep the ball. You know, we just kept giving it straight back to Paris Saint-Germain.
So it did end up being attack on defence pretty much, didn't it?
Basically, that's all it was. Pope's made a couple of real top saves in that second half. They've had a couple of big chances, Paris Saint-Germain, but it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net, and they weren't able to do that. And it's tough on everybody. You know, there was a lot of tired legs out there, a lot of tired bodies.